ఫస్ట్ ప్రొవిజనల్ కూడా BA వచ్చింది.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. The people those who have joined. I'm Vimal Kumar from MIT, Hyderabad. This is the class for the people of MBA, those who are the third semester. I'm given as operations research as a subject, which we are going to start within 1 or 2 minutes. I'm waiting for the people to join the session. Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay. I am asking to the people who have joined, Venkatesh, Varlu, Fatima, Sakti, and Art.
Yes, sir. Audible, sir. Audible.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll start the session. Before starting the session, I would like to thank Professor Dr. Radhakrishna sir is giving the links to take the classes and the opportunity given by Dr. P.R. Ambedkar University. I'm teaching to the PG students since 6 to 7 years, which was a physical classes. This becomes an online, the COVID onwards. Okay, anyhow. The operation research is the subject where most of the thing is about numerical part. So to understand it easily, I'd like to share my screen. Can you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
This is for every postgraduate people. It is necessary because this is an operations research whenever we'll call, this is important for the people, those who are doing an MBA, particularly because they need to go with the research process also, because you'll be having a fourth semester. It is mandatory to do a project on a particular topic. So there it is very much useful, other than the statistical tool which you learned already, right? So operation research, this was introduced long back by so many people, uh, but it was taken into the university level the later on. The first it was utilized in the World War II. Then later on, it has been introduced in every such sector to solve their complex problems. First of all, we'll go through your syllabus. You will be having in a block 1 introduction about the operational research, as a OR, an overview, linear programming problems, LPP problems, we'll call it as formulation, graphical simplex method is there in the block 1. Block 2, you have in the same simplex method at exceptional cases. Then the transportation problems as IBFS, and the optimization problems and assignment problems. After that, we'll be having in the block 3 is the queuing theory, game theory, simulation. These are all the part of operations research techniques, we can call it as. And block 4, we have a decision theory for certainty and uncertainty, decision tree analysis, and replacement models. Block 5, we have an advanced operations research techniques as an integer programming, dynamic programming, and nonlinear goal programming. So this is your total syllabus in the 3rd semester under operations research. But what is operations research? That we are going to discuss today with the information given in the screen, as a meaning of OR, that is operations research, history of OR, objective of OR, characteristics of OR, scope, phases and OR models, techniques, methodology and limitation. This is what the content which we have presently in the overview of operations research. Is that clear to you? Am I audible to you or not? Once I want to know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you. This is the total content in the first slides, whatever we are going to discuss now. As a meaning of OR, if we take OR, operation research is a systematic approach to determine the optimum or a best solution under the restriction of limited resources. Like we have a limited resources in our business. If we'll take an example of any business like an electronic goods, we kept the goods as electrical fans. As a fans, we have limited space and the limited fund, and we want to do our business with the maximum utilization, and we should get our solution. That solution is nothing but the maximum profit from our investment. So to reach that one, we are going to apply this operations research, which is a systematic approach to determine the best solution under the restriction of limited resources. So it is also known as management science, because science is also applied in the management. Quantitative business analysis is another name we can call it as, because we'll be using all the quantitative things. That means all the points, all the problems, all the complex problems we are converting into a numerical ones. So quantitative in the sense, numerical only we'll consider and we'll solve it as a mathematical way. And another name as a quantitative methods, which you learned as a quantitative methods as subject under statistics. And the decision science, because where the decision we have to take at that moment, we are utilizing the science. That OR is a scientific or mathematical technique, we can say, which comes under the science actually. So we are using the science in the management, we can say, indirectly or directly, right? So operational research is a systematic approach to determine the best solution under the restriction of limited resources. So how it is, how it has been introduced. So the history of OR, if we go, the operational research came into existence as a discipline during the World War II. That is, in the Second World War only, they implemented this when there was a critical need to manage the scarce resources. What may be the scarce resources? The resources in the World War is obviously the ammunitions, arms, and the personnel, those who require to win the war. The ultimate aim is winning the war with the limited resources. So how they managed there itself only, they utilized this operations research. Then only it has been started as an OR as a subject. As a Thomas Edison, as 1914 to 15, made an effort to use a tactical game board for finding a solution. So he used a board, which is a OR board, we can say, which can be utilized for the techniques for solving the game. At the same time, A.K. Erlang, a Danish engineer, carried out experiment to supply the fluctuation in demand for telephone facility using an automatic dialing equipment. So there also they used the technique of OR, experimented, and they succeeded in that one because there is a fluctuation in demand for the telephonic facilities, which is automatical dialing equipment. So long back only that the OR has been used. Now everyone are using it in their daily life also as an OR. How we are going to discuss that also in the next. So during the World War II, no individuals able to give proper solutions. So that group formed of different specialists such as mathematicians, economists, engineers, scientists, etc., to deal with the strategic and tactical problems of various military operations. So in their military operations only, they used the techniques. Those techniques are utilized or framed, we can say, by all these people who are mathematicians, economists, engineers, and scientists. These people have made somewhat as techniques which they utilized in the World War II, and they succeeded in the war. Then after many groups formed to solve the problems, in which one group is named as Blackett Circus. So Blackett Circus is TMS Blackett, who is a leader of this group, who formed and solved their problems in the one group when the World War was going on. Right. So after World War II, the same group start solving problems of civilians related to business industry research. So civilians, those who are having a problems in their business, in their industry, they found somewhat techniques. So these people as Blackett, whoever gave the solution in the business industries also, as how to solve their complex problems. So in 1947, G.B. Danzig developed the concept of linear programming. So the solution of which is formed by a method known as simplex method, which we are going to discuss in the subject also. So long back in the 1947, when we got an independence, at that moment only they started this or developed this linear programming to solve the complex problems by the name of simplex method. Today, in every organization such as banks, hospitals, airways, railways, etc., the operation research helps in improving efficiency. So everywhere nowadays, every organization is using this operation research techniques, which they are going to use it in their business and solving their business problems. So with this, we can know the history of OR as started long back, as in the World War II only, and they came into existence in the different sectors or different organizations in the different ways. So even if you'll take a railway ticketing, so earlier there was a people standing in a queue and taking our tickets one by one. So the queue becomes very big where it is not possible to complete in a day. So every day it was a very big problem. So that has been solved. Nowadays everyone is sitting at their home and booking the tickets through online. So that is a technique we can say as OR technique only they are utilizing. So whoever clicked one as a button, automatically they'll be the first in the queue. So that means what the queuing theory which we are going to learn, that queuing theory is also utilized here in the railways, hospitals, airways, banks. You can see that nowadays every bank is giving one token before entering into the service sector, service area. They have to take a token which is numbered as you have come first, and your number is clearly printed on a token, and that token will be given to you as the token called in the name. The automatically the people will go to the counter and they'll be solving their problems as bank related, right? So all these are the OR techniques only which they are implementing in every field or every sector to solve the complex problems. So the best solutions, whatever they are getting it, that best solution only is going to be implemented in every organization. That is what it is, OR introduction, we can say. And after 1947, the 48, OR Club is formed in England, later become the Operations Research Society of UK. And in 1952, this society has formed again in America. So Operations Research Society of America formed, and in 1953, Professor C.P.C. Mohanlal Nobis established an OR team in Indian Statistical Institute, Calcutta, for solving problems related to national planning and survey. So that from there onwards, so in India also they followed so many techniques in the OR techniques, we can say, that is implemented in every business organization. Even in our daily life also we are using somewhat techniques we don't know, but automatically we'll use it because that becomes an habituated by the people those are coming out of the house and doing the job particular. Excuse. So the International Federation of Operations Research Society formed, in which different countries have participated. So there they started combinedly how to solve the problems in the different areas and the different techniques, how to utilize it. So the main objective of OR is, the objective of operations research is to find out the optimum, that is nothing but the best solution. Optimum solution is nothing but the best solution for decision making, kept in mind there is a limited resources. As I told you, there is limited resources, scarce resources, how to utilize the best way of utilizing and reaching our goal. That is what the OR we can say as an operations research, the techniques which will use it and will implement in our businesses in the different way for solving the different complex problems. So objective is the same, which one is the best solution with the limited resources. To go with the characteristics of OR, operations research technique is multidisciplinary. Why? Because in every field they are using these techniques. Not only in the war, it can be used even in the universities, even in the study research purpose, even in our daily life or in any of the businesses we can take where the problem is there. To solve that problem, we can use this technique. So that techniques are operations research techniques, which is a multidisciplinary. It is used to solve complex management problems, and it is a continuous process. It is a set of mathematical techniques. It is a scientific approach in decision making, and it is a team activity. When it comes to an activity, obviously, one person can not do all the things. So a team activity is required to solve any complex problem. If that is the case, then every problem can be solved easily and they can reach the goal of the main business. Like if you talk about the business, so every business require a maximum profit. So how to get the maximum profit with the limited resources, whatever we are having in our business? That is the basic question we can say in any business. If you go to the business, solving the problem means nothing but with the limited resources, getting a high profit, a huge profit. That is only the basic question comes when we'll talk about the business. To solve those problems, we can use this OR technique. So which technique is used for which thing, we are going to discuss that one in the further in our subject. We'll go to the scope of OR. As I told you, it is a multidisciplinary. So operation research involves the following areas, that is in the defense operations, in the industry where the production is going on, as in the agriculture sector also. If you'll take an example, earlier used to have bullock carts where they'll be using it to pluck the earth also. They are using that one. But nowadays, everything becomes in a technical. Everything becomes in a technical. Even to give the water to the land also, they are becoming different ways they are using it. That is the technique which has been introduced in the agriculture sector also. That technique is nothing but the OR technique only. And the traffic control, traffic, to control the traffic also will be having on a signals. That signals is also made up of the OR technique only. That is the time period given to that, and automatically it implies. That means in the electronical goods, whatever the techniques they are using, those are all OR techniques only, operations research technique only. Even in the hospitals, if you go, you can go and you can admit in any hospital. They'll be taking your data and feeding it in their system, and automatically there is a number generated. That number is an admission number, will be given to you. Whenever you'll go again, if you say the number of your admission number, automatically your data, it appears in the screen. So how it is possible? Because of the technique which they are using it in their hospitals to run or to get the information of a patient or a doctor or an employee, is automatically getting in their screens because of the techniques which they are using in their operations. So in every business operations, we can say this operation research techniques can be used and they can solve their complex problems. Right. So the scope of OR is everywhere, we can say. Any place you can use this operation research technique. Any doubt?
No doubt, sir.
So what we discussed about what is OR, operations research, the evolution of OR, we can say, from where it has been started. Then we discussed about the objective of OR, then scope of OR, then coming to the phases of OR. Why we are calling as a phases? Because whenever you want to solve any complex problems, if you go with these phases, you'll be reaching your best solution. You'll be getting your best solution to solve your problem. So first is judgment phase. What is this judgment phase? Identifying the problem, that is determination of operation, what operation actually does, determination of objective, what you require from doing this operation, and determination of effectiveness of measures, means how much it is going to affect in your operations, determination of type of problem, its origin and the causes, that you are going to identify what is actually the problem of the business, what is the aim by solving that one, what they are going to get it by solving that problem. That is a judgment phase. And second is about the research phase. So that is nothing but observation and data collection for better understanding of the problem. Say an example, a business where they want to start by keeping some electronic goods. If you start electrical goods, we want to start with the fans. Say I want to keep in our business as table fans or a ceiling fan. So only ceiling fans are most of the people are buying it. So we kept the ceiling fans and we want to sell it in our business. But in the market, when you keep only a ceiling fan, the people won't be buying only the ceiling fan. Somebody asked you about the table fans. So we need to keep both the things in our business. So what happens here is both we have to keep in our business, both we need to buy, both we have to keep it in the go down, and both we need to advertise it, and both we need to sell it. But there is a problem of here in the business is table fan is taking a lot of space to keep it in the go down, where the ceiling fan is taking a very less space compared to the table fan. If you go to the profit or a buying of those two products, the product's cost becomes different and the profit also makes a difference. What we need to do is, so within the limited fund or limited area, we have to plan in such a way that how many table fans and how many ceiling fans we need to buy it, so that we can keep maximum in our business by occupying the complete space in the business area wherever we want to keep it. We want to utilize the maximum space with the limited resources and with the limited fund, and we should get a maximum profit by selling of it. So what we have to do, we have to find out the problem first. What is actually the business problem? That is the first thing what you need to do, identifying the problem. Then what is our objective? Second thing we need to search. What we need to do? So we need to buy two products. We need to keep both the products with the limited resources. Then we'll go to the research phase. In the research phase, we'll apply the research scientific methods and testing the experiment. So how much of the area is available? That is one point, which is in the numerical way only it can be possible. As I told you, it is a quantitative method. So numericals means what? In the numbered only, we need to keep all the data. So we need to observe and we need to collect the data for better understanding the problem. So area is to be means total area is to be kept in the mind as how much of the area is there, and each product is occupying how much space. That also we need to take. And the second thing, how much of the amount is available. That means the budget, how much is available, so that we can buy both the products, both ceiling fan and table fans. So that is the research phase, we can say. So all these things is nothing but observation and data collection. First, identifying the problem. Second is we are collecting the information. Then after that, what we are going to do? Then we need to formulate the formulation of relevant hypotheses and models. Means we have to assume something and we need to frame a questionnaire. That is called as formulation, we can call it as. Then analysis of available information and verification of hypothesis. So we need to analyze, means all the data is kept in the particular format, and that is to be converted into a mathematical equations. So production and generations of results and consideration of alternatives. So if there is a production and generation is there, so we need to find out the results and we need to consider the alternative things is what. That also we need to see while in the second phase. Then the third phase lastly is an action phase. We got the best solution that we are going to put it in the work. So putting the solution to work, and that is nothing but an implementation part we need to do in the actual business. So there are the three phases in the OR. What are the three phases? First,
Judgment phase.
that is identifying the problem, right?
Research phase.
Judgment phase. Research phase. Good.
Action phase.
Good. Right. So those are the three phases. Within the three phases, we will find out the problem. We will get the information. We'll collect all the information and putting it to a systematical manner and getting the solution. That solution we are putting in the actual business. That is an action phase, we can say. So all these things is in the form of a numericals only. So that is nothing but here we'll call it as an operations research technique, or we are using it so that we are getting a best solution. So judgment, research, and action phase. These are the phases of operations research. And the techniques, as I told you, in the different business areas, in the different sectors, we'll be using the different techniques. One is linear programming, which can be used in every businesses also, where the scarce resources are there and which are having on a linearity. That means there must be a relationship between the variables, whichever the variables we are selecting it. So if that is the case, then we can apply the technique as linear program. Just now we discussed about the electrical business, where they want to keep it as table fans and the ceiling fans. Their problem is having a linearity. Means there is some relationship in between the products which they want to keep it so that they can do the business. So at that point of time, we can use the linear programming technique and we can solve the problem of the business and we can get the best solution also. Second is about the sequencing. As I told you, if you go to the ticketing, railway tickets, earlier there was in a sequence. They need to stand in the queue and they need to wait for a particular way, and then only they'll be getting their solution. So to avoid that one, the sequencing is another way of OR technique to avoid the problem of standing in a line. Or waiting line model or queuing model is also another way of solving the queuing techniques. That means the queue which we won't follow it. Most of the situations in the areas where the business people are telling that they have come first. No, the other people says as I have come first, so that this we should be served first. So at that moment we can't question them. We can't make them priority of first one or the second one. Whoever is buying it, for them they need to give the products. So at that time this queuing model is applied. So they'll be giving on a token. Whoever comes first, they need to take a token and wait for the service. That is, in the banks nowadays, everyone is doing, as an SBI or any bank. If you go, you need to need not waiting in a queue. You need to sit on a table only by taking a token. Whenever the number called, you need to go to the counter and you need to solve your problem. There the queuing model is applied, or queuing technique is applied. Decision theory is another technique which is applied in the decision areas, where the business having on a managers has to take a decision. At that time they need to take a decision, means they must have a proper what we can say proper reason why they choose a particular product to be produced in the particular time. So why they need to, so that reasons they need to keep, and they need to solve their complex problems, because they need to give the exact proper perfect decision to the management, so that the management can take action in their businesses. So in the management, most of the time the decision theory is applied, and the game theory is another technique where normally the games will be applied. Gaming theory, we can say. There also the problem whenever two opposite peoples are there and fighting for one product. So how to solve their problems? So game theory is one of the technique which they can solve it and get the best solution in their results. And transportation problems. So this is one of the biggest problem nowadays, in even in any country, we can say, because most of the time the products have been importing and export is going on. So for this import and export, so the business people, what they'll think, if we reduce our cost of transportation, automatically the product cost will reduce, so that we can sell the product it easily in the market and getting the profit it easily. So to increase the profit also, if you reduce the cost of the product, that is cost of transportation problem, So if you reduce the transportation cost, automatically there is an increase in the profit in their businesses, right? So transportation problem, to solve the transportation problem, to assign a job particularly to a particular worker on a particular machine, there also you can apply this assignment problem. Network analysis, which work has to be done first and which is to be allocated next to the work. In their work, they can apply this network analysis. All these are the different techniques, operations research technique applied in the different areas of businesses, or apart from the business, we can go with the government also. Government is also applying these techniques to solve their complex problems related to the public. So all these are the operations research techniques only, which we are going to discuss one after the other in our blocks, in our syllabus, right? So techniques of OR are linear programming, sequencing, queuing model, decision theory, game theory, transportation, assignment problem, network analysis. Keep all the things in the mind, maybe getting for the theory purpose also in the examination for you. Right? Any doubt?
Yes, sir. No, sir.
If we go to the methodology, how we have to solve our business problem whenever we'll apply a technique. We discussed in the phases, we can convert that into a method. First, defining the problem. Second, formulating the mathematical model, as I told you just now when we are discussing about the phases. The same thing. That phases is converted into a particular method. If you go with this method, any operations or any complex problem can be solved easily. First is defining the problem, what problem actually it is. Formulating means nothing but making them the total problem into a questionnaire in the mathematical model, and solving the mathematical model by a particular technique. Then validating the solution means whether the solution is perfect or not. Once we need to cross check it, that cross checking is nothing but you are validating it. Next is implementing the solution. So in the actual business, that solution, whatever the best solution we got, that is implemented. And modifying the models, if there is any deviation appears in the actual output, then modify it and we'll apply that one. So then establishing a control over the solutions. So if there is any, the system which is not going according to the plan, you can control over it with the solution, whatever we got as the best solution in this OR technique. So this is the methodology which you can apply in any of the business or any of the area where the complex problems are there. You can solve and you can get the best solution, and that can be seen practically in your business. This is what the methodology of OR we can say. So we'll be taking an examples. We'll do a numerical part also, how it is going to be implemented. But theoretically, you can remember any problem, first defining the problem of the business or any area of the business, then formulating it as a mathematical model, solving it, validating it, implementing it. If there is a modification required, you can modify it and control over it. That is the methodology of OR. Techniques, any technique, you can go with this methodology. Right?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt?
No doubt, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
We discussed a lot because we don't have that much of time to discuss each and every part of it. We have limited time. Within eight classes, we need to finish our total subject. So we are going briefly. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So the objectives, we'll go with the objectives of OR. The actual objective is the best solution for the complex problem with the limited resources. So what to do and how to do it. Decision making and improve its quality. is our objective. Identifying the optimum solution, that is best solution. Integrating the system means we have to combine all the things together. Improve the objectivity of analysis. So the objective, either it may be a minimize the cost or maximize the profit. Any one thing is to be applied, either minimizing the cost or maximizing the profit. We'll take any example. If it is a manufacturing concern, if you are manufacturing a product, if you reduce the cost, automatically your profit increases, right? So minimizing the cost you can keep as an objective, or maximizing the profit. Anything is same, but different ways it has to be applied. Then improve the productivity. When we are producing it, you can improve it because the cost has been reduced, so automatically you can increase your production also. And success in competition and market leadership. You can be success, you can get a success, you can get your goal in the market where the competition is very high. Even in the competitive market also you can get through it easily with this objectives. So that application of OR, where this OR techniques are used, we can use in the finance and accounts also. When the dividend policies are going on, there are different theories. Their theories is also having a numerical parts where they'll be applying that numbers and giving a solution. Investment and portfolio management. Like if you want to invest in the stock market, you can invest it, but whenever you are investing, you can't invest only the one security. So what you're going to do, you can invest in the different securities so that you can get a maximum profit. That is normally called as investment and portfolio management. Auditing, even in the auditing techniques, we can apply this OR technique and we can get the problem, if there is any problem in the accounting areas. Even in the balance sheet, while doing the balance sheet also, if you have any problem, it can be solved by applying this technique. Claim and complaint procedure and public accounting. There also you can use it. Break-even analysis, capital budgeting, cost allocation and control, and financial planning. These are all the areas where operations research are already been applied the technique and they got the solutions, the best solutions, and those only implementing in the businesses nowadays. Right, this is under finance and accounts. If you go to the marketing, selection of a product mix, like if you go with the apparels, a person goes and you want to buy only a trouser, only a shirt. So what the marketing people has to do, if you buy a product, automatically it is coming with another product which is in a complementary. They won't be giving us a complimentary, but they have combinedly fixed the price and selected. So that technique they are applied it in the business, that is in the marketing area. So marketing and explore, planning, sales and force allocation, assignment allocation, media planning, advertising. So in the marketing area also, you are applying this operations research technique and finding out the best solution in this. Even if you go with the purchasing and procurement, which one we need to buy, which one is getting a less cost, how to bring those products which we are buying from the outside of the state, how to transport the goods. So if that is a problem, then we can apply this OR technique and we can solve our problem. Replacement policies, bidding policies, vendor analysis. So all these areas where we are applying an OR technique and getting the best solution in our businesses. So solving it is not only the criteria, the best solution we need to get it so that we can reach our goal. Our goal is what? Maximum profit. Our goal is maximum profit. To get the maximum profit, we can apply this operations research techniques. So in the purchasing and procurement, we are applying at this point of times, that is optimal buying, transportation planning, replacement policies, bidding policies, vendor analysis. We are applying the techniques. Not only there, in the production process also, how to manage the production, how to identify the location first of all, that is facility location. To identify the location also, we are applying the OR technique. Logistics arrangement, which has to be sent first, which has to be sent next. Like if you take an example, the people, those who are buying the products online, so either it may be Amazon or Flipkart, the Amazon person has to send the goods immediately to the area where it is located. So if he send only one good to that location, he'll be getting a losses. So what he'll do, the similar type of products or the products which they need to send it in the similar location or similar same locality, they'll be sending it by one person who can go through it and he can supply it easily. So that logistic arrangement where the technique they have used, nowadays everyone on using it, not only Amazon, Flipkart. Even if you'll take an example of this Ola, Uber, to give the service to the customers, that they are using this operations research technique only. So how do they know that you are at a particular location? So they need to identify the people, those are coming from a particular area, calling from a particular area. They can identify and they can send the people to that place easily and quickly. So you are getting a best solution with the least cost. That is the ultimate aim of operations research. So in the production management, we can say facility location, logistic arrangement, layout design, means how they are going to produce the product. So nowadays everything is produced on the machines only. So from beginning of mixing of the raw material till the product has to be packed, everything is through machine. So machine has to put, means they need to know how much time it takes by each process on each machine. So based on that, they can arrange the machines such that all the products can be produced continuously without any break, without any person also. I think you have seen in the advertisements given in the channels, the new advertisement is going on as a chocolates, a Kisses chocolates. You can see how the product is manufactured and how that product is to be sent for the packing. So everything is through the machines. No one is putting a hand in the production process nowadays. So everything is becomes machine made. So the machineries are had to be processed, means compulsorily they require the time allocation and the process, how to do and how much is to be done. Everything is to be managed properly. So that at that places OR techniques are used. So all of them are using the operations research technique only. Even in the engineering design, aggregate production planning, transportation planning and scheduling, all these are the process of production, where in each process they are using the OR technique, from facility location till the scheduling of the products to whom it has to be sent first. All these things they are managing through the techniques only. Even in the personal management, to go to the personal management, the manpower planning, wage and salary administration, to whom how much has to be paid, at what time it has to be paid, who has to be selected, that is HRM, we can say human resource management. They are also using the technique. Negotiation, skills and wage balances, scheduling of training programs, skill development and retention. All these are the personal management techniques. In each of the area, they'll be having problems, complex problems, that they are solving it by means of operations research techniques. Even in the journal management also, like they want to take a decision by means of support system, how they are going to take, when to take the decision, at what time, and how many people have to be to take a decision. That also they'll be identifying by means of the numbers only, that is the techniques which we are applying, making quality control more effective and product management and strategic planning. So all these are the different strategies applied in the business areas where that planning is done by means of the operations research technique only, nothing else. But there is a break, we can say, in the OR also. There are some limitations which we can't apply at the particular places. Like these do not take into account, OR techniques does not take qualitative and emotional factors. Like example, if you go to an hotel, how the quality of the product, which we can't be put it in the numbers. We can say it is a good quality or bad quality. That's all. More than that, it cannot be possible. Emotional factors, where you are hurted by somebody else, which we can't put it in a paper as in the form of a number. So OR techniques were only techniques where the points or the problems of the business can be put it in a numbers, that is quantitative. So there is a drawback of this OR is only this one, that is the qualitative or emotional factors we can't apply an OR technique in that areas. We can't apply this OR technique and we can't solve it. And these are the applicable to only specific categories of decision making problems. Specific categories in the sense where the complex problems we are having, where we can solve it properly by making or converting into a numbers. There only it is possible, otherwise it is not possible. And these are required to be interpreted correctly. Means whenever you are converting a problem into a number, that number must be accurate one. That is also necessary. Otherwise it is not possible to solve, and it is not possible to get the best solution. What we are saying it as a best solution, you won't be getting a best solution. So to get correct decision, there must be interpretation correctly. That is what it says, as these are required to be interpreted correctly. And another one, due to conventional thinking, changes face a lot of resistance from workers and sometimes even from employees. So conventional thinking, if you go to the conventional thinking, then it is not possible. Like if you want to keep a machinery and the other management person wants to keep a worker, if that is the situation, then it is not possible to change the place or change the decision at that point of time where the decision is not properly conveyed by the management or by the workers. So if it is thinking in the different ways by different people, then it is not possible. And models are only idealized representation of reality and not to be regarded as absolute. Some models where we can keep it as an ideal, but it cannot be represented as a reality. Really, we can't be applied in some cases where absolute thinkings are different from actual things. Means actually what is going on and what you thought makes a lot of difference. Like an example, if you want to construct a building, we planned it for 5 or 50 lakh rupees to be invested, and we can construct a 2-floor building. So when you go actually and construct it, while constructing, the product material or raw material becomes a high, and where your budget is not sufficient and you can't completely manufactured a building with a 2-floor building. You thought of it, and actually it has done only 1 floor, where it has become incomplete. So at that point of time, this OR technique is not applied. We can apply with the proper planning and perfect planning if everything that is the data which you are collecting is accurate one, and there should not be any changes according to the market. If that is there, then you can apply this technique and you can get the best solution in your businesses, where you can reach your goal, that is your maximum profit you can get. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So we discussed a lot about the OR up to the limitations from the beginning of evolution or an origin or an history of OR onwards, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We discussed about the history, we discussed about the objective, we discussed about the implementation or the phases, we can say, or we can say there's so many techniques we discussed, methodology we discussed about the application of OR in the different areas. At the end, we discussed about the limitations, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is an intro about the OR, where we are going to discuss the further regarding the techniques which we have in the first module, first block only, right?
Yes.
Any doubt?
No doubt, sir.
Any person having any doubt? One o'clock. So no doubt, no one having a single doubt.
No, sir.
So may I know that the people use the technique in any of the area which you have seen or you have heard about it in any of the place in your real life?
We have come across it in operations management, maybe.
Right.
In that subject, optimal location of plant, I think we have solved some problems.
Facility location you are saying about.
Yeah, yeah.
Identifying the location of the area means the location to keep a factory or a godown,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
That
And
is
also drawing the network plans, sir, like giving a
net-
network planning scheduling for the civil engineering
scheduling, right?
purpose.
One of the other, which job has to be finished at what time.
Yes, sir. Scheduling, planning, and monitoring, everything is done in that planning, because I am a civil engineering background student, sir, so I had a separate subject of this.
Alright.
Not completely related to the OR, but for that network analysis we used to have. So
Right.
for that network analysis, we definitely need the data of accurate. Like if accurate is also not possible, at least we need to know, so that the future details may be solved, because they'll be having a time consistent and everything. Problems will be there for solving.
Right, right.
We have come across this optimization in electrical engineering also.
Yeah. Where
Deciding-
it is necessary in the electrical engineering.
Yeah.
It is necessary that they need a best solution for their area wise.
Yes.
Good. So you people are in practically learning what is this actually.
Yes, sir.
So theoretically, where we are in this field as only theoretical part, where we as human will give an examples of all those things. So you people are practically involved in this one, so that is the great of it. You can see in your areas only how they are applying these techniques. So long back it has been introduced, where World War II means what, 1918 only they started. So from that only it has been implementing and elaborating. Different techniques have been started, different methods have been used for the different purposes. Right.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? So we have in the block one only as one of the technique is LPP. So what is linear programming problem? I think most of you, those who have gone through this in your schooling level itself. If you've learned in the 10th standard, mostly in the 10th standard, a basic point will be there. Even in the intermediate, those who have done from the mathematics, they can know about this as a linear programming. But here in this linear programming problem, which we are going to discuss a little bit extra, more than that, what you learned in the 10th or 12th standard. There you know about only what is LPP. But here, linear is nothing but the relationship between the variables which we are going to take to solve our problem. So in the business, the linearity must be there, means the relationship must be there with the products which we are having in our business, and we have some problems in the business that has to be kept in the systematical way, that is programming, we can say. That programming is done with the variables, whatever the variables we are assuming it. So those variables we have to keep in a systematic manner, as step by step we need to solve it, and we should get the best solution on this one. So to get it, what actually it is a widely used mathematical modeling technique to determine the optimal solution of scarce resources among competing demands. Like resources typically include raw material, manpower, machinery, time, money, and the space. These are actually the problems in every business. If you take a production process, they have a raw material problem. They'll be having on a man problem. They'll be having on a machinery problem. They'll be having on a time problem also, where in a day there are 24 hours only, where they can't produce more number of time. We can't take it in a day, hardly 24 hours. So that means what? The time is also limited. Machinery is also having a limited. Manpower is also limited. Raw material is also limited, where the investment to invest the amount is also less, and the space is also less. Means what? Some businesses may have some problems there, so they need to go through that one, and they need to reach the goal. That means ultimate aim of the business is maximum profit they should get it. So the technique is very powerful and found especially useful because of its application to many different types of real business problems in areas like finance, production, sales and distribution, personal marketing, and many more areas of management, we can say. So almost all these areas, whatever we discussed, in all the areas, this LPP technique is used. Automatically, some people will give the suggestions to the management. That suggestion is based on the technique only they can give it. Otherwise, it is not perfect. To give the best solution, they need to apply the technique. If they apply it, automatically they'll be getting a best solution. As its name implies, the linear programming model consists of linear objectives and linear constraints. Means related objectives, related constraints, which means that the variables in a models have a proportionate relationship. They must have a proportionate relationship. For example, an increase in manpower resource will result in an increase in the work output. Obviously, if we increase the manpower in the production process, obviously the production will increase. Work output will increase it, which is directly related to manpower with the output. So that relationship must be there, the variables which we are considering here while solving the problem. So the problem must have a linearity, that means relationship, and it must have a complex problems where we can't solve it easily by our mouth or by our knowledge. We can keep it. If the problem is very simple, then that can be solved. If that is not possible, then what we need to do, we need to go through the technique. That technique is OR technique, the linear programming technique. So the essentials of linear programming model. Like for a given problem situation, there are certain essential conditions that needed to be solved by using linear programming. So to use this technique, linear programming technique, what we need to do, we must have a limited resources. One, limited number of labor, limited number of material equipment, and limited finance. That is actually the point where we are lacking. So if that is limited, then we need to think of it. So within this number of hours, how to produce it? Within this amount of budget, how to purchase it? Those are the different problems in the businesses. Then the objective is refers to the aim to optimize. Optimize, that is best, maximizing the profit or minimizing the cost. Any one thing. Both is not possible at once. So if you minimize the cost, automatically the profit increases. Right? Linearity, that is increase in labor input, will have a proportionate increase in output. If you keep the labor more, you'll be getting an outputs also more. Homogeneity, that is having a relationship with the products also. The products, that is workers' efficiency and machines, are assumed to be an identical. So homogeneity must be there, and divisibility. It is assumed that resources and products can be divided into fractions. In case the fractions are not possible, like production of 1/3 of computer is not possible. A modification of linear programming called integer programming can be used at that basis. Integer programming is applied where there is a divisibility is not possible. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So LPP model must have these things which are necessary. Limited resources, there must be an objective, there must be a linearity, there must be an homogeneity and divisibility. Then only we can put that into a linear programming problem. We'll make a questionnaire first, then we'll solve it by the technique, which either it may be a graphical or simplex. But first of all, we need to convert a business problem into a linear programming model. To convert a business problem into a linear programming, the problem must have these things. Then the properties of linear programming model. The following properties form the linear programming model. One, the relationship among decision variables must be linear in nature. And a model must have an objective function, and the resource constraints are essential. Constraints is nothing but the conditions. So resource conditions are essentials, and a model must have a non-negativity constraint. What is this non-negativity? It is nothing but whenever you are thinking about a problem, the problem should not be in the negative way. Like without producing a product, can we get a profit in the business?
No.
No. So non-negativity means what? The numbers whichever we are keeping as production process, we need to produce some number of units. We'll keep as those number of units as an objective, right? So if that is not there, means if that as 20 units or 1,000 units or 100 units, minus 100 units we can't keep it. So that is non-negativity. Negative cannot be applied in this one. So a model must have a non-negativity constraint. The conditions should not be in the negative way. So we must follow this properties while converting a business problem into a linear programming model. So what I said, we need to convert a business problem into a linear programming problem, which is in the mathematical way, right? That conversion is called as your formulation. The name will call it as formulation. Formulation means what? It is nothing but converting the business problem into a linear programming problem. Formulation of linear programming is the representation of problem situation in a mathematical form. It involves well-defined decision variables with an objective function and set of constraints. Are you getting my point? Formulation is nothing but what? Representing the problem situation, that is business problem, in a mathematical form. It involves decision variables upon which we need to take a decision and which must have an objective function and a set of conditions. Set of constraints is nothing but condition. So what is an objective function? The objective of the problem is identified and converted into a suitable objective function. So function in the sense equation. The objective function represents the aim or a goal of the system, that is the decision variables, which has to be determined from the problem. Generally, the objective is in most cases will be either maximize the resources or profit, or to minimize the cost or time. I told you earlier also, the object of the business, any business, is maximum profit or minimum cost. Sometimes maximum resources they want to utilize with the limited time. So minimizing the time. So that is actually the object of the business, which will convert into objective function. Objective function in the sense converting the objective of the business into a mathematical equation by using the decision variables. You must understand these things basic. These are all the basic points.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Second is constraints. Constraints in the sense, I told you, of conditions. When the availability of resources are in surplus, there will be no problem in making decisions. We won't take any decisions at that moment. We will utilize as and when how much we want, we can use it, like manpower or a time or a money or machineries or labors. We have surplus of labors, we can use as and when we require. If we have number of machines to use it, you can use as and when you want. But when this problem arises, when there is a limited resources, scarce resources. But in real life, it is not possible as a surplus. So most of the situation will be having a scarce. So in the real life, organizations normally have scarce resources within which the job has to be performed in the most effective way. Therefore, problem situations are within confined limits in which the optimal solution, that is best solution to the problem, must be found. So the constraints are nothing but the scarce resources only, right? The conditions, we can say, within this budget, you need to finish your production. Within this time, you have to produce these many units. Those are all the conditions of the business. So most of the time, what in the businesses, the people will give to the sales department, manager will give to the salesman that today you need to sell these many products in the market. You need to advertise even that one. Even in the insurance sectors, the insurance agent will be given some targets. We'll call it as a targets, right? So the targets are nothing but the conditions here. So those are all the conditions even in every business, right? So within the limit, you need to produce the number of units within the limited resources. Non-negativity constraint, as I told you, negative values of physical quantities are impossible. Like producing negative number of chairs, tables, etc. Negative number means what? You won't produce unused products, which you can't produce it, which you can't do it, right? So producing negative number of chairs, tables, etc. So it is necessary to include the element of non-negativity as a constraint. So every formulation, you must show that X or Y products should not be less than 0. It must be more than or equals to 0. That is called as non-negativity constraint. Are you getting my point? Non-negativity is necessary to be shown in every formulation. Means any products, there should not be any negative value. That is what here it means. So whenever a business problem is given to you, first what you need to do is you need to identify the decision variables upon which you want to take a decision. That is the first thing in the formulation. First thing in the formulation is identifying the decision variables. Before that, what is the aim of the business? Second is decision variables. Third is objective function. With the means of decision variables only, you need to convert it into objective function. Then you need to find out what are the conditions that you need to convert into a mathematical equation. That is, the conditions is to be converted into a mathematical equation, and you need to put compulsorily as a non-negativity condition, non-negativity constraint. That is necessary. So all these things are necessary to be kept in every formulation. So you need to identify the first thing is what?
Objective.
First is objective, second
Constraint.
Constraints.
No, first thing you need to
Decision variables.
Decision.
To do any to convert any problem, business problem, into a mathematical equation, you need to identify what actual problem upon which we need to take some decisions. Those decision variables you need to identify. Then you need to go with the objective function, constraints, non-negativity. All put together, we can call it as a questionnaire, as a question or a formulation. Right?
Yes, sir.
Example, a small example. A company manufactures two types of boxes, corrugated and ordinary cotton boxes. Corrugated, that is plastic plated, we can say, which is not destroyable easily. So corrugated and ordinary cotton boxes, the two types of boxes want to manufacture the company. The boxes undergo two major processes. One is cutting, two is pinning operations. Those are the two compulsorily. You have to make a cutting first, then that has to be converted into a box, means it has to be pinned. Right? So those two processes has to be done. Good. What is the object of the business? Here you can see the profits per unit are 6 rupees and 4 rupees respectively. Means the two types of boxes, corrugated is having 6 rupees profit, ordinary boxes are 4 rupees. But what is happening here is each corrugated boxes requires 2 minutes for cutting and 3 minutes for pinning operations. Okay, that is first type of box. Whereas each cotton box requires 2 minutes for cutting and 1 minute for pinning. Right?
Yes,
Cutting and pinning is okay. If you have a cutting machines and pinning machines with the empty number, means empty number of time, means surplus time is available, we won't be keeping in the business as a problem. But what is there? The available operating time is 120 minutes and 60 minutes for cutting and pinning. So 120 minutes is only there for cutting and 60 minutes is there for pinning. The machine's available time is saying. Where within this limited time, we have to produce 2 types of boxes, which is taking a different times on different machines. Right?
Yes.
And the manager has to determine the optimum quantities to be manufactured, the 2 boxes, to maximize the profit. So what is his aim? What is
Maximize.
Yes. To maximize the profit, he has to produce 2 types of boxes upon the 2 machines where there is a limitation in the time here on 2 machines. We have a limited time, that is 120 minutes for cutting and 60 minutes for pinning. So this is actually the business problem. So first, what I said to identify
Decision variables.
Very good. So here, what are the decision variables?
Activities, cutting and pinning are the decision variables.
So upon which you are getting the profit?
6 rupees and 4 rupees.
No.
On the corrugated and ordinary cartons, sir.
Right. That means what?
Our decision variables are corrugated and ordinary cartons. For profit
Right.
maximizing is 6 for the corrugated and 4 for the ordinary.
Right. So decision variables means how many units of corrugated boxes and ordinary boxes we have to produce such that we should get a maximum profit by using the 2 machines for cutting and pinning. Am I right?
Right,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So the decision variables depends upon
Objective.
objective.
Objective of the company.
Right. Good. So to reach the objective of the business, first we need to identify upon which we have to take the decisions. So those decision variables are 2 boxes, corrugated boxes and ordinary cotton boxes, to which we will give a symbols, assigning the symbols. So
X and
right,
Y
good.
are
So most of the times in the mathematical equations we want to convert means x and y only given to 2 variables if there are 2 variables, right? If
Yes,
there are
sir.
3 variables x, y, z, we can
Right.
give. If it is more than 3, then we can't identify as a variable particularly. To identify it, x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, like that. You can make it in that way, right? So here
Yes,
there
sir.
are only 2 decision variables. So what we need to do is first aim of the business we need to write as what he has actually the objective. So business wants to manufacture 2 types of boxes and to maximize the profit by producing these products. Second, the 2 variables are corrugated boxes and ordinary cotton boxes, to which we can give the symbols. Let X be number of corrugated boxes, Y, let Y be number of ordinary cotton boxes. Those are the symbols given to the decision variable. Then we can convert the object of the business into an objective function. So the objective function is maximize. So whenever you are writing an objective function, Z is the symbol we will use it. What is the symbol? Z is the symbol. You can see here. So first, decision variable completely describe the decision to be made in this case by manager is manager must decide how many corrugated and ordinary cottons boxes should be manufactured each week. With this in mind, he has to define X1 be the number of corrugated boxes to be manufactured. X2, he has taken X1, X2. We are thinking about X and Y. You can make it X and Y also. If there are two boxes only, two variables only, you can do it as X and Y also. Here, we are considering it as X1, X2.
Okay.
Right? So objective function is the function of the decision variable that decision maker wants to maximize the profit. So in our case, manager can concentrate on maximizing the total weekly profit. So here the profits equals to weekly revenue minus raw material purchase minus other variable, whatever it may be. But clearly mentioned the profit on each product he has given 6 rupees and 4 rupees. So by mistake it is written as X2 only, but it is X1 and X2. So how to write here? Maximize Z equals to 6x1 plus 4x2.
Yes, sir.
6x1 plus 4x2 is actually the objective function. Then constraints. What are the constraints we are having? We have two conditions. That is two machineries we have to use, which is having a limited time. So constraint shows the restriction on the values of the decision variables. Without constraint, manager could make a large profit by choosing decision variables to be very large. But there are three constraints, including non-negativity, what he says actually. One is available machine hours for each machine, time consumed by each product, then sign restriction, that is negative, are added if the decision variables can only assume non-negative values. So manager cannot use negative number machines or time never negative number. So non-negativity, I told you, non-negativity restriction is also necessary. Sorry. So sign restriction in the sense non-negativity is also necessary. For every constraint, means every business problem, non-negativity is also necessary to be kept. So what we have actually in the question, you can see here, each corrugated boxes 2 minutes for cutting and 3 minutes on pinning. So cutting and pinning are the two major problems which we have, because the time limit for the cutting is 120 and pinning is 60. So whenever you are converting a business problem into an equation, what you do is you keep variables on horizontal manner, and the problems you keep it as an equation model, like we have here. So variables, two variables, and the cutting time, pinning variables, and the pinning time. So we have a time limit, 2 minutes on cutting, 3 minutes on pinning, and maximum time limit is 120 for the cutting time. And every constant, means this is total formulation part he has kept here. Objective function maximize Z equals to 6x1 plus 4x2. Subject to first condition is 2x1 plus 3x2 less than or equals to 120. 2x1 plus 1x2 is less than or equals to 60. And x1, x2 must be greater than or equals to 0, which is a sign restriction, non-negativity constraint also. So a values of x1, x2 is in the feasible region if it satisfy all the constraints and sign restriction. So we can say we reached our aim of the business. So can you able to see this one?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
First objective, two actual conditions, that is cutting and pinning are two constraints, and non-negativity constraint is also necessary. These three are the conditions, right? Following by three conditions and satisfying these three conditions and reaching the objective of the business, we can say we reached our optimal solution. And this type of linear programming problems can be solved by two methods. Means what we did actually, we converted business problem into a questionnaire. We converted business problem into a mathematical questionnaire, right? So that has to be solved to get actual solution. Means we can go through graphical method or simplex method. Any of the method we can go through it.
Okay, sir.
Any doubt, anyone?
No, sir.
No doubts.
You must get a doubt. You must get a doubt.
No doubts.
No, because there is a small thing happened, small mistake is there.
That is
Yes.
X1 and X2 for that one, sir, because X1 and X2 for one is X1 is for the corrugated one and X2 is for
Corrugated box.
corrugated ordinary box.
Right.
And for that,
Right.
then we have to do both the equations and then we need to solve it. But how did you take that it is a less symbol or a greater symbol, sir?
Right. Very good question. Less than or equals to why we are applying here, because we can't go more than 120 minutes in cutting.
Okay.
We have a cutting time is maximum is 120 minutes. Pinning
Okay.
time is also maximum is 60. So we can use up to 60, but beyond 60 minutes, you can't go it.
Okay.
Beyond 120 minutes, you can't go it. So that we can use the symbol as less than or equals to.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, sir.
If you have surplus time, there is no question of converting into a linear program.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes.
So if there is a condition, there is a constraint, there is a scarce resource, then only the problem is kept in the linear programming.
Yes, sir.
No other doubts? Good question. Any other question?
No, sir.
My doubt is here.
Cutting operation for it. The numbers I think are 2 and 3 are not correct. 2 and 2 and 3 and 1.
Right. That is what it happened actually. 2
Yes,
minutes in cutting, 3 minutes in pinning for corrugated box. When we'll take an excess for X1 as corrugated, 2 for cutting and 3 for pinning we need to take. Whereas for X2, we must have 2 for the first and 1 for the next.
Then it's
So,
the equation should be 2x1 plus 2x1. Then
3x1 plus
2x1 plus 2x2 less than or equals to
120.
3x1 plus 1x2
1x2 less than or equals to 60.
less than or equals to 60. Very good. Nice. So that is what I thought of saying by anyone, but there is a complexity is there here also. You are able to. So when I raise, you are getting the point. Right. Good. So converting business problem into an equation is called as actually what we did till now. It is named as formulation. Okay.
Yes,
so
sir.
converting business problem into a linear equations, it is called as formulation. That is the first step what we need to do. Then to solve it, we have to go through these two methods. So it is not necessary by both the methods, any of the method. When graphical is applied, when simplex is applied, we'll discuss in detail that one also. Is this clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts?
No, sir.
Right. If there is no doubt, you apply somewhat and you tell me about another question. This is a question for you. And it is very clear to you also. There is no paragraph. It is made as simple as easy. Formulation of an LPP as for example 1. Can you do it?
sir,
Yes, sir. Z is equals to 5m1 plus 4m2 is the profit equation, that is maximizing profit equation. Next is the raw materials, means the first constraint would be 6x1 plus 4x2 is and the second equation will be x1 plus m1 plus 2m2 is less than or equal to 6.
Good, very good.
And also the m1 and m2 should not be should not be less than 0. That means they should be greater than 0, greater than or equal to 0.
Right. That is non-negativity constant you want to say, right? Good.
Yes, sir.
You read the question once again.
And also the maximum
Whatever you said is good.
And also the maximum demand should not be more than 2 tons, sir. Because they have given maximum daily demand is 2.
2 for what?
2 for the interior and 1 for the exterior.
Read the question once again, and that is also another condition actually. That is also another constraint.
Yes, sir.
So 2 conditions is actually the raw material M1 and M2 related points where they need to use that material and they need to paint it actually. They need to prepare Asian paints, produce the interior paints and exterior paints. Apart from that, there are the other 2 conditions which you can see, the second point and third point.
Yes,
second point, a market survey indicates that the daily demand for interior paints cannot exceed that of the exterior paints by more than 1 ton. That also is one more condition which we need to follow. And also the maximum daily demand for interior paints is 2 tons.
Means the
maximum,
negativity constraint,
not more than 2 tons.
Plus at the same time, M1 should not be greater than or equal to 1, and M2 should also not be greater than or equal to. The constraints would be completely 4. Means M1 should not be greater than 0. That one would be the regular one, but also these both should be added to the negativity constraints.
So before negativity, non-negativity, we need to put all these are the constraints.
Yes, sir.
One is raw material M1, raw material M2.
Yes, sir.
But the major point, basic mistake you have done is, you have taken as M1, M2 as a decision variable. That is not correct.
Okay, fine.
Interior paints is X1, exterior paints is X2.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Because they want to produce those paints, not the raw material. Raw material, they need to use it.
Yes.
Raw material M1 and raw material M2, they need to use. Where there is a limited resources of that M1 material and M2 material.
Yeah.
So don't be in a hurry to do it even in the examination also.
Okay, fine.
So read the question carefully.
Okay, fine.
As an Asian Paints produces both interior and exterior paints from 2 raw materials, M1 and M2, where the market survey indicates that the daily demand for interior paints cannot exceed that of the exterior paints by more than 1 ton. And also the maximum daily demand for interior paints is 2 tons. Help Asian Paints determine the best, that is optimum product mix of interior and exterior paints that maximizes the total daily profits. So upon which they are getting the profits, can you tell me?
Exterior and interior paints.
Paints, not on the raw material, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So those have to be taken as the decision variables.
Okay.
Good, you have tried good, but the point, you are in a hurry to tell the answer, so you.
Not hurry, sir. I took the constraints as M, so that is what I have done the mistake only.
Okay, not worry.
I'll do it, sir.
Very well, very well. You can try it. You can do it easily. No problem.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So steps in formulation, whenever we are, what are the decision variables that we seek to determine? So amount of interior and exterior paint to produce it is the actual decision variables. And what is the goal? Aim of is maximize the total daily profits. And what are the constraints that we need to satisfy? One is demand for interior paints cannot exceed that of exterior paints by more than 1 ton. Second is maximum daily demand for interior paints is 2 tons. Okay, and those two conditions, M1, M2 raw materials also. So all those are kept in the formulation part. You can see here, formulating the LPP, X1 be the quantity of exterior, X2 be the quantity of interior. Objective function is converted as maxima is equals to 5x1 plus 4x2. Conditions are 1, 6x1 plus 4x2. Well, within the table, whatever given to us, that is converted first. 6x1 plus 4x2 less than or equals to 24, x1 plus 2x2 less than or equals to 6. Another point, that is the first point, second paragraph. X2 minus x1 less than or equals to 1, because x1 should not be more than x2. And one more point given in the sentence, they can use maximum of 2 tons, whatever he said, for interior paints. So x2 we have taken as interior, so x2 is less than or equals to 2, where x1 and x2 is greater than 0. That is implicit constant is non-negativity. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt?
No doubt.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
If you say no doubt, I'll be having a doubt.
Okay, sir, you can ask.
Sure, everyone. Is this clear? Good. Try to solve another one. This one. Read carefully and tell the answer. Read the question carefully and give the solution.
Can I tell objective function?
Before objective,
Decision
what does it?
variable. Chase and tables are decision variables.
Very good.
And objective function is z equal 45x1 plus 80x2.
Very good.
And constraints, I'll tell.
Constraints are board feet and man hours working, sir.
Very good. Converting into an equations, how it will be?
400 x1 plus
No, read carefully.
400,
Sorry.
Five x1 plus 20x2 equal to 400. First constraint.
Equals to?
Oh, no. Sorry.
less than or equal
Less
to.
than or equal.
Less than or equal.
Right.
Next one is 10x1 plus 15x1. 15x2 is less than or equal to 450.
Very good. Right. Very good.
And x1 and x2 should be greater than 0. That is
Right.
a last negativity constraint.
Right. Greater than or equals to 0. It can be equals to 0. It should not be less than 0.
Yes.
greater than or equals to 0, you can make it non-negativity. So overall, you got an idea how to formulate the questionnaire.
Yes.
One, the decision variables are, let x1 be the number of chairs, x2 be the number of tables, need to write. Then objective function is maximize z equals to 45x1 plus 80x2, subject to the constraints. First is board feet of mahogany, 5x1 plus 20x2 less than or equals to 400. The second man hours of labor, 10x1 plus 15x2 less than or equals to 450. And third non-negativity constraint is x1 comma x2 greater than or equals to 0. Right. You got your perfect now. Good. Thank you. To put everything in on a paper, you can understand it easily. Right.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
I'm getting hardly 1 or 2 people response. What about the others? I don't know. If response comes in a great manner, then it will be great for us. Any other? Somebody else also speaking in between. I tried to get the solution for this also. These are the different model of questions. It's also similar. And go through this once, understand the question and tell me the solution. A company manufactures 2 products, P1 and P2. Each product uses lathe and milling machine. The processing time per unit of P1 on the lathe is 5 hours and on milling machine is 4 hours. And the processing time per unit of P2 on lathe is 10 hours and on milling is 4 hours. The maximum number of hours available per week on lathe and milling machines are 60 and 40 hours. And the profit per unit of selling P1 and P2 are 6 and 8 rupees respectively. Formulate LP model to maximize profit. Question is very clear.
Decision variables are lathe and milling machines, sir. Lathe is x1 and milling machine is x2.
Is it?
Yes, sir. Products are 2.
You are getting a profit on?
Profit on
P1
lathe.
and P2, sir. Decision variables are P1 and P2.
What's your name? I don't know. Your name?
My name is Kumar Swami.
Madam,
My name is Ramya, sir.
Ramya, right. So,
6 decision.
see, whenever you are deciding about the decision variables, think about the objective of the business. Their objective is to maximize the profit, where profit is getting on which things?
P1 and P2.
P1 and P2.
P1, P2, upon which only you need to take a decision to maximize your profit.
Okay, fine.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Right. Good. So P1, P2 are the decision variables.
Yes, sir. My objective is x1 and x2.
So even if you keep as P1, P2 as the products as it is also can. So easy way to write an equation is x1, x2. So
Yes, sir.
P1 is x1, P2 is x2.
Yes,
Then
Z equal to
Z equals to
6x1.
before Z, it is mandatory to write. Is it a maximize or minimize?
Maximize.
Maximize.
That is necessary. Don't forget about
Maximize.
that. Maximize Z equals to
Maximize z is equals to 6x1 plus 8x2.
8x2.
right. subject to conditions.
Constants 5x1 plus 10x2 less than or equal to 60. 4x1 plus 4x2 less than or equal to 40. x1, x2 greater than or equal to 0.
Very good. Who is this? May I know your name?
Bhargavi, sir.
Bhargavi. Okay. Because I put the screen on the top, so I can't be able to see you people. So simply I have a PPT. I can able to see the PPT. That's all. So is that clear now? LPP formulation is done.
Yes, sir.
So now with this LPP, we need to solve graphically first, then we'll go with the simplex, right? So that
Yes.
we'll discuss in the next class tomorrow.
Okay, sir.
Any other doubts apart from this? Yes. Any
I
other
think no
doubts?
doubt, sir. Sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you for this today's
Okay.
session, and which is very nice, sir. And students are more participative, and
More participative. I should think about the people, those who involved in this one. Those who
yes,
speak, if people are speaking and discussing, then it will be very great enough
yes,
to
sir.
explain them perfectly. So we'll
Yes,
try
sir.
to explain maximum because it becomes an online, no? So it is
Yes,
little bit difficulty to explain them. So if it is an offline, we can put on a board everything on the board and we can explain them easily. That is my actually
yes, sir.
intention.
Yes, sir.
Any other
But,
doubts? Anyone having? Amulya, Monica? Now I can able to see those people. Venkateshwarlu, Bhargavi, Ganesh Kumar, so many other. Okay. So, sir, the Radhakrishna sir,
yes, yes, sir.
please inform to the other people also, those who are interested,
Yes,
can join
yes, sir.
next class.
And I think, yeah, they will share within their group, sir,
Okay.
and they are having their own group for them. And even I am sending screenshot of this class and where it is necessary.
Okay.
So
Okay,
that
sir.
they can able to understand and they can able to join and with this more interest.
Okay.
Okay, so with this we can do we conclude, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, fine, sir. Thank you for today. And
Okay.
tomorrow session will be the same.
Same.
Understood. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, next session will start by 2:30. Okay. Kumar and Amulya Bhargavi. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Good
Okay,
day.
sir.
Bye.
Yes. Yeah.